I thought I would tell you a story about my swimming career. I was in my senior year of high school, and really my whole senior year was kind of a story of me, being a little nervous about trying to find a place in college to swim, trying to find the place for me. And all season I went to as many practices as I could. I was racing at meets. I was having some success. I was dropping time here, dropping time there a little bit, and I really just I did what I could to make sure that I was on the path that I wanted to be on. And really, I was coming off of a great junior year of swimming where I dropped a bunch of time in my primary events in the breaststrokes and the IMs, and I started branching out and getting pretty good at kind of distance freestyle and trying to improve my butterfly. So I was really hoping to see a lot of improvement in my senior year as well. And we get to my high school CIF championships. So, it's kind of the equivalent of the Montana High School State Championship swim meet. And at CIF, my junior year, I had made finals in the 100 breast, and I made consoles in the 200 IM, and I was going to be doing the same events in my senior year. And I was excited, and I was a little bit nervous. It was my last kind of big high school swim meet. Really probably my last opportunity to have a great yards meet before I went off to college. And my first event of the meet was the 200 IM. I was excited, ready to go, ready to race, and to see what I could do in the 200 IM. And I dove in, and my goggles filled up with water, and they're slightly displaced. And I was immediately really frustrated. And I kind of just finished. I didn't totally dog it, but I certainly didn't put my best effort in. I thought, well, that's the end of that. There's no way that I was gonna make it back swimming, a whole race with water in my eyes and not being able to hit my turns, and I really just kind of finished, and that was that. And I was pretty down on myself for that whole session, and I got up and swam the 100 breast, and I was really kind of expecting to go best times in the prelim session to help boost my chances of getting in, returning to finals, and I got up and added 2 seconds in my 100 breast. But the incredible and surprising thing was that I made it back. I made it back to consoles in the 200 IM, and I snuck into finals in the 100 breaststroke. And I remember telling my coach, what had been going through my head and how I raced, and he kind of just told me, hey, you can't worry about that kind of stuff. You can't let that kind of stuff affect how you race because you don't know what's going to happen. You can't control what anyone else in the field is going to do. You can only control what you do. And I took that to heart. And the way that our meet was set up was we had prelims on a Thursday morning, and we would have finals on a Friday evening. So I had a lot of time between prelims and finals where we went back to the hotel, we got some food, we went to a movie together as a team. We relaxed. I was in the hotel room with the other boys on my relay, and I just kind of tried to set my mind right and focus on what I was going to do and focus on putting forth the best performances that I could the next day of finals. And I show up to finals, and I really just focus on making sure that I'm going to do what I need to do to have a successful slate of individual events, and to not worry about what else was going on, to not worry about where I was ranked, what my times were the previous day, but instead just focus on executing the best race that I knew that I could. And I dove in the 200 AM in that first console heat, and my goggles stayed on, and I was ready to race. And not being a great backstroker at that point, I was used to being maybe a little bit behind in the backstroke leg. but I noticed that I touched the wall in my heat first um, at the 100 turn, and I turned on a breaststroke, which was my strength, and I was feeling great. And I ended up winning my heat by 2 to 3 seconds. I broke 2 minutes for the first time in the 200 IM, and I mean I won a best time by 3 seconds. And I was psyched. I was super proud of myself. I was super excited about going the best time. I was a little bit bummed because I would have been, fourth overall in that race had I potentially qualified for finals in the prelim session. Had I made, if I didn't give up, if I put my best effort forward, even with full goggles, could I have made it to finals? Could I have fought for a spot to be top 3? And those questions kind of just stuck with me. Really for the rest of my swimming career. If I hadn't given up in that prelims race because my goggles filled up with water, because I thought that there was no way that I could do what I needed to do with my goggles full of water, what might have happened? And I vowed to make sure that I wouldn't let something like that affect me again. And I had plenty of races where things went wrong in the race, and I just made sure that no matter what went wrong, whether it was getting a cramp or missing a turn or goggles filling up with water. Actually, my freshman year in college at nationals, my new fancy super suit was the wrong size and would fill up with water when I would dive in and push off a wall. And I made sure that I did 2 things. One, that it didn't matter. That I was going to race my best race, that I was going to race as hard as I could, and execute my race strategy to the best I can to get the best possible result. Because I couldn't control what the rest of the field was doing. I was responsible for myself, and I was going to make sure that I would walk away from that race not regretting my effort at all. And the other thing I needed to make sure that I always remembered was that it was the reason why I swam. I wasn't swimming for prestige. I wasn't swimming to make it to finals, to have, what the definition of critical success is, right? Making finals, making nationals, making trials. All of those things were very, very nice things and things that I wanted to do as a swimmer, but that wasn't the reason that I swam. The reason that I swam, the reason that I showed up to work hard every day at practice, was to make myself better. Was to make myself better in every venture that I put myself in. And swimming was something that I spent so much time on. And if I was going to spend so much time on it, if I was going to love it as much as I did, then I needed to make sure that I was only there every day to improve myself. And sometimes that improvement wasn't getting a specific time. Sometimes that improvement wasn't making a final or making a national team or making an Olympic trial meet. Sometimes that performance was just being better because I knew that I could move on from failure, whether it was in the pool or out of the pool. So, I think it's impossible to avoid the fact that things are going to go wrong. Your goggles might slip off in a race. You might miss a turn. You might not get to go to that end of season championship meet. And you have to remember that you can't control what's going on around you. You can't control the other swimmers in the race. You can't control what meets happen or don't happen. But the only thing that you can control is yourself. And and why you swim. Um, so when things don't go your way, remember that you are the change. You are the ability to change what you want, to get what you want out of the sport. And I think that it's important to figure out what you want out of swimming. And it's important to fall in love with the process, with the idea of getting better at swimming, and not the idea of making a cut, making a state meet, or making a sectional meet, or making a national meet. Because those things will come if you get better. But you can't control what the cut times are. You can only control what you do in the pool.